In Kenya's Kiambu County, a number of tea plantation workers have replaced their traditional three-stone cook stoves for a much better alternative. Kenyan-based company Burn is producing a range of clean cook stoves using carbon credits. From wood to charcoal and now electricity, Burn aims to produce more energy-efficient cook stoves to help slow down deforestation and lower carbon emissions.
You save a lot using the stove compared to using gas or charcoal. The price of gas sometimes gets to 1500 or 18, but when you use firewood worth the same amount, it can sustain you for up to 6 months. Charcoal might take you a month after buying a sack for 2,000.
Lois Wanjiku has been using her stove for the past 5 years. She says not only is she saving money, but the change has been beneficial for her family's health as well.
Smoke no longer affects my eyes or gives me a cold because even if I cook with a stove in the sitting room, it does not smoke. The kids will be studying while you are cooking with no issue. Now we must look after finances because the children are in school and need money. Food has to be bought. So the stove is important in enabling us to save more.
The company designs and produces all their cook stoves in Kenya. It is also set to open an assembly line in Nigeria to facilitate distribution in West Africa. So far, the company is approaching 4 million sales. However, with around 2 billion people worldwide relying on open fires for daily cooking, more work remains.
Their willingness to pay, so the amount they were willing to pay for a stove, was on average only about $12 versus like call it 40 to 50 in a purely commercial model that they would be required to pay for that stove. So there's this huge mismatch that has to be filled, and that's what now our entire business is operating on, finding ways to fill that gap between the actual cost to deliver that stove and the willingness to pay or the ability to pay for the mass market. How we do that is through carbon financing and the use of carbon credits.
In 2022, Burn raised $37 million in carbon finance, with Carbon Neutral Royalty being the largest investor. The company also employs Kitchen Perform tests to quantify carbon credits from cookstove projects by comparing a family's wood consumption between traditional and burn cookstoves.
So guys, welcome again to the channel where a united Africa is an undisputed Africa. So in this video, I like this video. It's a double-edged sword because one for one, it brings me back to the time in the 80s when I used to use the same the tree racks with the wood to cook on, and then we transferred to kerosene oil stove, which kerosene oil is like lamp oil. It's a lamp oil stove, and then we have the coal pots, and then we move to electric and gas stoves. But back in the 80s in Jamaica, because I'm from Jamaica, we didn't have, for those who couldn't afford electric stove or gas stove, because gas was expensive back in the days, we used to use the coal pot or wood fire. And so we have to go and get the same thing as you're seeing happening in Kenya here. But what this new design do is it allows the person who's cooking to not use as much wood, one, and number two, they don't have as much smoke, so your eyes don't get all the watery and run water. Like, trust me, I've had those days. Because when you have to be blowing the fire, trust me, it's a whole process. But that's a good part. It helps to use less wood. You can do it on the inside of the house, so you won't burn the house down, and the whole house will be fully fill with smoke. So that's already a second good thing. And if it's raining, again, it's perfect for to use in the indoors. But even though now I have my own home and I have like a gas stove, I still have an electric stove, I still have a coal pot, and I still can go outside and put 3 racks up and put and light a fire and cook same way. I still do it. Fun fact: if you just Google Irma hurricane, it hit San Martin in 2017, and when it hit San Martin, there was no gas, there was no current, so you couldn't plug in no stuff to use, and then gas was a problem to getting gas in the beginning. So we had to revert back to revert back to the same. We have to revert to the old school manner of catching wood, catching outside, getting the rocks, putting the wood and catching fire and using coals. You have to revert to that. So it's good to know these things so it's in your sort just in case you have any disaster, you can always run back to old ways. But on the flip side, I don't like what they are doing with some of these projects because they put it as if and make it seem as if the whole entire Africa is like this. But they're not telling people that these are rural areas. I'm saying rural, I mean rural areas that takes days to get to via a vehicle or via a train. And some of these people have to walk from them homes to the city, like a couple of hours. So these are rural areas, and every single country on the planet have this area. Check France, Britain, Germany, America. As big as America is well, as they say, is one of the richest countries. Not the richest country. They say there's a land of opportunity. Even as beautiful as Africa, as developed as France and America is, and I've been to both countries, trust me, they have some horrible ghettos in these countries. Let me tell you, I'm say horrible smells. You have people living literally sleeping on the roadside and under bridges and some of these people are so I've seen this in France and in America. We have been in New York and in Paris. Even as much as I say Paris is a very loved city, you don't want to see the bad side of that city. So my answer to say is, don't paint Africa as this place that people are struggling and don't have access to resources. Because Africa is very fully developed. I want people to get this. Africa is fully developed, just like any other major countries. But they also have the rural areas. They away from society, like, you know what I mean? That's away from society, which means they are far away in the hills and in the bushes, so they have less access to modern things like electricity, running water and stuff. But that doesn't mean that's how the entire continent is, and I don't want to frame it as such. So that's just a side note too. And because this is a good thing, yes, but I don't want it to be perpetrated as this is what Africa is. So I'm just saying that to say this. It's for those who, especially black people from the Caribbean and from the American diaspora. When you want to travel, you need to stop. We need to stop going to these countries that giving us problems to come in. And when they treat you horribly. Like if you go to some certain Asian countries, they treat you horribly. They don't like. They hold up at immigration and they give you this difficult time to enter the country. While we are so accepted and welcome in Africa, where we need to go. We need to start book our vacation and go to Africa. The continent is 54 countries on the continent. There's tons to see. There's a lot of countries you can go to. There's a few countries I wouldn't recommend, like no focus up to the war issue, because you have Somalia and Niger and all those places. No, because you have a little issue, but you have Senegal, Nigeria, Cameroon, Uganda, Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Ghana, South Africa. So you have multiple countries you can go to that's very developed and very welcoming to Caribbean diasporas and Black African Americans, as well as African Americans. Black people globally is accepted fully when they go to the continent, but just don't go over there and play their ass, act up like you're better than them. They don't like that. So, but me personally, I'll be on the continent very soon, so that's a plus. So anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section, about this mini conservative carbon stove, and what I said about this is not the whole continent. This is a specific rural area where you have people that are not that's less fortunate financially, just like every other country in the world have less fortunate people. Especially in America, you have people sleeping on the street, on the bridges, and begging people for food. But at least these people don't beg. They have their own, even though they have their little own hut, they have their own, they can still cook their own food and all this. So it's still a better place to be than these so-called developed countries. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section again. Don't know. Peace. One love. Boom.